Now at 10, this is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Families' dogs are safe tonight, pulled from a burning home while the family was reportedly away. Fox 61's Valerie Moravi was there.
Thanks for joining us for the Fox 61 News at 10. I'm Brent Harden.
And I'm Sarah Sanchez. New Haven firefighters had a busy night on scene of that house fire.
Fox 61's Valerie Moravi was there and has the latest.
Yeah, fire crews responded to a 2-alarm fire around 3:45 p.m. and were able to get the fire under control within 1 hour. Now, one neighbor tells me he's glad to hear no one was hurt.
It's awful just to see it happen in live time, and thank God we're just down the street from the fire department. They definitely arrived pretty fast.
New Haven firefighters were dispatched to a house fire on Alden Avenue Monday afternoon. Another next-door neighbor who did not want to be on camera said he saw smoke coming out from the middle of the back room. New Haven Battalion Chief Rob Balcom tells us neighbors notified first responders as they knocked on the door, concerned for anyone who might have been inside. Page lives just a few blocks down from the house. He says his heart goes out to the family.
As a community, we definitely have to come together here and, try to pull together for the family, because I can only imagine what they're going through.
Chief Balcom said 2 dogs had to be rescued from the burning home. They were taken to the vet for treatment.
I was hoping that nobody was home, but the first thing I thought of was the dogs, and people could actually get out. Dogs would be trapped, so to see them pull it out was definitely a sigh of relief.
Yeah, fire officials say they believe the family that lives at this home may be out of town. For now, the state fire marshals say the cause of the fire remains under investigation. In New Haven, I'm Valerie Moravi, Fox 61.
Valerie, thank you. And before we get a check on the weather, the UConn women's basketball team is moving on to the Sweet 16. They dominated South Dakota State tonight. You see the score there, 91-57. We will, of course, have more on the game later in the newscast.
Soggy start to our week. Lots of rain showers out there today. Hopefully you stay dry, though. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frank for a first look at the forecast. Hi, Rachel.
Hi. Yes, a brighter, warmer day in store for tomorrow. Right now, 39 in Hartford, 45 for the New Haven area. It's a little bit misty right now in New Haven, but not too bad. We are seeing more fog, though, in Meriden, so I did want to let you know. Also, Bridgeport as well, down to a quarter-mile visibility. But this fog will resolve itself before daybreak tomorrow. So by tomorrow morning, we are waking up to some sunshine, something we didn't see any of today. Here's a look at the radar showing there's a couple sprinkles, maybe a light sprinkle right now making its way through the far northwestern corner of the state, but that's about it. Here's a look at temperatures, and we are going to see overnight lows in the upper 30s to right around 40 degrees. We are not anticipating any icy spots, though, as we head towards daybreak, so that is some good news as roads will have a chance to dry out. Otherwise, heading into the day tomorrow, partly cloudy skies to start off the day. Temperatures beginning around 40 degrees, and we'll finish in the low to mid 50s as we head through the afternoon. We will see increasing clouds, so it's not a perfectly sunny day, but again, anything would be brighter than today. And we do have the chance for a scattered rain or even snow shower in parts of the state for later Wednesday. We'll talk more about it, your full forecast coming up.
We have an update now on a story Fox 61 broke Thursday night. A 10-year-old boy with ties to Connecticut has died. Police say he was abused and tortured by his mother and her boyfriend, and both of them have now been charged with murder. Police say the boy was taken to a Florida hospital with severe injuries on February 22nd. They say the boy's younger brother has told investigators he and his older brother were being abused by their mom, Kimberly Mills, and her boyfriend, Andre Walker. The boy's biological father lives in Bloomfield. The father's attorney told us last week he and Mills divorced a few years ago. She had custody of the boys and moved them to Florida. Mills and Walker were arrested last month, and they're in police custody tonight. And a Waterbury woman accused of holding her stepson captive for 2 decades will be in court this week. 56-year-old Kimberly Sullivan is expected to enter a not guilty plea on assault, kidnapping, unlawful restraint, cruelty, and reckless endangerment charges. Prosecutors say she held her stepson in a small room since he was 11 years old. But he reportedly told investigators abuse had been going on since he was 3. Last month, at the age of 32, police say he intentionally started a fire in the home, telling firefighters he did it to escape. Investigators say the man was severely malnourished and weighed just 68 pounds. Our team will be in the courtroom for Sullivan's appearance.
A Waterbury man faces charges after police say he tried to lure a child into his car. Fox 61's Alicia Hercules has more on the arrest.
The Waterbury Police Department says that a parent reported their 8-year-old daughter was approached by an unknown person while in the front yard of her home. Police say the person stopped directly in front of the girl's home and attempted to lure her into their car. They say at one point the person got out of the car and opened the trunk. When this happened, the girl ran into her home and told her parents, and they called 911. Officers identified the suspect as 37-year-old Christopher Rosa. They arrested him at his house. Rosa is charged with breach of peace, stalking, and risk of injury to a minor. He was released on a $100,000 bond and was scheduled for arraignment Monday. It's important to note that the girl was not hurt. The police are looking for any additional information related to this case or any others involving the suspect. If you have any information that can help, you can call the police department's detective bureau. In Waterbury, Alicia Hercules, Fox 61.
A New London police officer who had been arrested back in November on domestic violence charges is behind bars for the third time in just 4 months. Police say last Monday, Julio Gil Martinez stalked his ex-girlfriend, who has a restraining order against him. He was arrested back in January for violating the same restraining order. Gil Martinez is currently on administrative leave from the New London Police Department since the November incident. To stay up to date on all these stories, just scan the QR code on your screen and download the Fox 61 News app. Today in Hartford, Connecticut, Democratic leaders announced plans to gut the Department of Education.
They say it could have disastrous consequences for Connecticut students. Last week, President Trump signed an executive order telling Education Secretary Linda McMahon to dismantle the department. Nearly half the department's workforce has either resigned or been laid off, and there are concerns federal funding for schools could be cut despite the administration's insistence the funding will continue to flow. Connecticut Congresswoman Jahana Hayes is a former teacher, and she calls the executive order a step backward.
I am not going to sit by and let us go back to a time where special education students were placed in the basement and not allowed to be educated alongside their non-disabled peers. I am not going to go back to a time where students came to school and didn't get a hot meal or a book or a computer or broadband or all the things they needed to learn. This is not about downsizing institutions. It's about tax cuts for the wealthiest, most well-connected.
Representative Hayes introduced a bill she says would protect the agency. So far, it's not passed the House. Connecticut Republican leaders responded, calling today's press conference an overreaction. In a statement, Minority Leader Vincent Candelora says Democrats, quote, shut down schools here, hurt student achievement, and failed in their most basic duty, fully funding special education. Yet they deflect blame and attack President Trump for confronting a costly, failing federal education system that benefits bureaucrats more than students and educators, end quote. More cuts are coming to food programs in Connecticut. That's according to the USDA. The budget cuts will impact the Emergency Food Assistance Program, also known as TFAP. It's a program that moves food from farms to food banks for people facing food insecurity, that is. So far, 2 trucks full of food were canceled. Earlier this month, the local food purchase assistance program that supports schools took a big hit after $1 billion in budget cuts. Connecticut Food Share released a statement saying in part, quote, we're actively working with the governor's office, the state legislature, and the Department of Agriculture to find a solution for our local farmers, pantries, and neighbors in need here in Connecticut. And they went on to say the people most impacted by these cuts are already vulnerable neighbors, such as seniors, children, working families, and people with disabilities.